What's up, everybody? Um, Today doesn't feel right for me to do the whole shtick that I usually do every Monday, because today we need to talk about something heavy. Uh, Man, this is hard. Like I had so much I wanted to talk about today. Um, this is not how I envisioned today would have ended up going, but we gotta get through this together, okay, folks? So um, it also kind of ties into why I didn't upload anything to SSP yesterday, but there was an upload right there on SelfStandard reactions. It was there at the last minute, but folks, this past Saturday I received some unfortunate news that a good friend of mine has passed away, and to me, he wasn't just another wrestler. No. To me, like this guy was a genuine, down to earth, honest human being. Um, it was announced this past Saturday that SheaShea McGrady had passed away, and for those of you that don't know who SheaShea is, you should. Like, for years, he has been a staple in the Carolina wrestling community, and he's even done plenty of work with me and SSP before. Like, he has, like, a lot of videos of his involvement here on this channel's past. I mean, yes, I have had a lot of good matches with him. He was totally a good staple in my feud with Mickey Folk back in 2021, and arguably that feud I had with Mickey was probably the best wrestling rivalry I have ever had in my whole career so far. But a story like that doesn't happen without a supporting character like SheaShea involved. And SheaShea, he was very supportive of me, not just in the ring, but behind the curtain as well. I've known SheaShea since, I want to say at least since 2015. Because my brother and I were very familiar with him and his tag team partner at the time, Will Demented, aka Willie D. Matter of fact, if you go back into the early days of SSP, you would see a video of me interviewing him and Shay for an episode of a Q&A PW. I think it was like episode 10 even. But speaking of Q&A PW, yeah, he was there for an iconic moment with Chris Vallow when Chris decided to hijack my Christmas special for that year. It was 2018, I believe. Yeah. But SheaShea, though, man, like, at a time right before I became a wrestler, I remember walking through my own phases of, do I matter? Am I capable of love like everyone else in this locker room just because I'm not in the ring? SheaShea showed me a lot of that love, and it didn't matter what the position was. SheaShea, he went out of his way to make sure that I was cared about, and well, like that was even before I even had my first match. Outside the ring, SheaShea would even end up making it a point to make sure that he actually tries to FaceTime folks and actually tries to call them just to check up on them. Even though a lot of people knew him through wrestling, he tried to make sure that, oh, he would make time to talk to folks outside of the business as well, and that's an energy I really don't see from a lot of folks these days. But SheaShea was an amazing human being, and I remember back in 2018, I was cosplaying Piccolo that year, but man, I didn't even include the picture right there of the slideshow at the end though. I remember cosplaying as Piccolo and SheaShea. He was a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and he wanted a picture with me while I was in the Piccolo costume. And and yeah, sure enough, we took the picture together. That picture is still in my laptop file somewhere. Um, I, Yesterday morning, I was looking back at one of my matches with him, and I almost wanted to cry because I know it was for the sake of the performance. I know it was the planned idea heading into the match. But I remember SheaShea offering me a handshake in the ring, and I slapped him. I slapped him. And I also remember that heading into my story with Mickey, I remember having that in-ring confrontation with him where I was fussing at SheaShea, and man, SheaShea and I could have had something wholesome on camera in the ring. We could have. But you know, the very last time SheaShea had actually done anything here on the channel was it was heading into my Clown Cage Carnage match story with Squeaks the Clown. Because I remember doing a video where I was going around backstage telling my jokes to different wrestlers, and SheaShea just happened to be there that night, and he was delighted to be in the video with me again. Man, I've had a single match with Shay. I've been able to. I remember teaming up with Joey Ford to go against him and Willie D at one point. Heck, I teamed up with Dion Johnson once to take on SheaShea and Mickey. That was a good tag team match. Oh, and I can't forget the 6-man Christmas Chaos match from 2020. I wasn't even supposed to be in that match. I was filling in for somebody. I was teaming up with Joey and Brady to take on Mickey, Willie, and SheaShea, and man. And I remember yesterday afternoon rather, before I came back to town, because I spent the weekend in Spartanburg this past weekend. I spent the night in Spartanburg Saturday, and I came back home yesterday afternoon rather. So sorry, my mind's just funky right now. But I remember going to Waffle House for lunch, or should I say brunch rather, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the first thing Queen Enterprises and I said to each other was, yes, we need to go to Waffle House in honor of Shay. And for those of you that didn't know High Profile that much, High Profile was a tag team that used Waffle House as their visual representation. Like, they even had waffle themed wrestling gear and waffle themed t-shirts as well. I'm really gonna miss SheaShea's energy. I mean, yes, he was a talented wrestler, but dang, like outside the ring, that man was a kind-hearted soul. He cared about people. He really cared about people. And you want to know what's high-profile material? Making sure that nobody ever felt low profile, and it doesn't matter what the position was. It doesn't matter if he was a fellow wrestler. It doesn't matter if he was playing the music, if he was the ring person, like the timekeeper. Doesn't matter if he was a referee. SheaShea would care about you. And that's an energy I need to see a lot more of in the wrestling business. And that's the energy I gotta live on. Just like when my friend Josh passed away back in November. to these folks that I miss the qualities of, I gotta pick up the idea for myself, you know? I gotta, I gotta make time to live a life that would make them proud, if that makes sense. And that's just not on me. Like, for anybody that SheaShea has touched, I hope that people can use this positivity as an example about how to go about their own life and their own business. But SheaShea, rest in power, man. I'm gonna miss you. I knew this was gonna be a hard vlog to get through. Man, I remember like a few years ago I was and I think I still have it saved on my computer, but I remember like back in the early days when I was wrestling, I would used to make cartoon inspired promos, and I think I still have a picture saved somewhere of where I turned SheaShea into Sheen from Jimmy Neutron. Man, I gotta go back and take a look at that. But look, I gotta wrap this video on up. Like I really can't overstay my welcome here. But my prayers and condolences goes out to any family member, friend, fan of SheaShea, and dang it, this stings. This really stings. Oh man, I can't forget that, man, SheaShea was a massive Chris Jericho fan as well. And I was thinking about Shay when I made that Christmas spoof for Judas back in 2021. Because I remember making that song, and I sent it to him, and SheaShea shared that music video of mine, and he expressed how happy that made him, and he said he couldn't stop listening to it. SheaShea not only cared about me as a wrestler, but he cared about me as a person and as a YouTuber. And every time he was around, it was always fun being around his aura. And man, if there was ever an example of aura farming, it was definitely SheaShea McGrady. And I mean, hey, even his theme song, like, sorry, I just heard someone yelling, but anyway. Heck, even High Profile's theme song, like, right now, right now, right now. I'm going to see if I can find a link to it and put it in the description below. But just one lyric alone, says, I go hard like SheaShea McGrady. And every time SheaShea would make his entrance, I would hear that, and the crowd would sing along with just that one lyric. And I remember, like, as I was playing the music, I would make sure that, James, do not turn this music down until that one lyric drops. Alright? Do not stop this music until at least that one lyric drops for everybody to sing along with it. And I even remember when I was in Spartanburg one night, I remember, I mean, I was wrestling that night, but I had my flash drive with me, and I specifically pulled off the high profile music from their computer to my flash drive so I could personally hand deliver it back to the computer for Action Pack Wrestling so I could play it myself there. Like, I personally got their song myself, and I delivered it manually. Because I went to Spartanburg, physically got their song off their computer and brought it back with me. And I can't say that SheaShea's energy wasn't infectious either, because man, even that love that SheaShea was giving to everybody, like some of that rubbed off on Will too. And Willie D, like, yeah, I know he's retired from wrestling for a few years now, and um, and heck, I don't think Shea's had a match since at least late 2021. But Willie, because of I want to say that probably because of Shea's energy, Willie shared some of that energy with me too, and yeah, me and Willie, we would definitely share a good joke or two. But man, like back in the early days of like that era of 2015 to 2016, I remember seeing Willie, SheaShea, and heck, even Rob Killjoy, like being a good trio for each other in the wrestling business. And even some of SheaShea's energy was given through Rob as well. And I know a lot of folks may think Rob is a hardball, but no, Rob is a very passionate individual, and he currently right now he's recovering from an ankle injury, but I've been blessed to learn under the tutelage of Rob Killjoy from the brief times that I was training with him. But man, like Rob was also like very kind behind the scenes as well, and um, after every match that I would have, Rob would always come to the music room to make sure if I had fun or not, and to make sure I was all right, and that went a long way. And I think it's safe to say that yes, I can direct this back to Shea's positivity, and Shea had a means of just making the environment wholesome when he was around, and I'm gonna miss that about him. But yeah, I don't think at this stage anybody can say anything bad about Shea. Once again, rest in power, Shea. Thank you for giving me a reason to booyah. Alright, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this vlog on up. Um, yeah. Until next time, make sure all of you remember to be outrageously optimistic year round. For SheaShea. For SheaShea. So yeah, I'm out, and here comes my hug of appreciation. Bye.